Hey, sixth grade. So this is the instructional video, the tutorial on how to put wheels, axles, bearings, and screw eyes on your car. It's very simple to do, but you need to know where your parts go first. So we're going to start here by introducing what we have, and then I'm going to show you where to get them. So first we have some front wheels. We have some back wheels. They're a little bit thicker. We have two axles. We have four bearings, also known as washers. I have a long screw eye, a short screw eye. I have my car completely drilled out. And my pliers, these are needle nose pliers, but we're going to use them as snips today. And I'm going to show you exactly where to get all of this stuff. We're going to go from our table instruction to showing you where to get these materials. So I've already started talking about each of the materials that are on the table, and now it's time to show you where to get them. So here we are. This is our classroom. This is our stem cart. And in this stem cart, there's a bunch of different areas. There's some bins down here. These bins have some extra axles that we are not taking out just yet and all the other stuff. There's our scales from when we're doing our weighing. And right here, as you can see, it says front wheels, interior wheels, and back wheels. So what we're going to do is going to open this up. I'm going to be putting more obviously in here, but this is where they all are. These are our front wheels. These are the back wheels. These are interior wheels. You would only need to use these if you're doing interior wheels on your car. And then when you're done selecting your wheels, you will come around to the side of this and you will receive one of these. This is one of your screw eyes, your long screw eye, your four bearings, and your axles. Now you'll see that there's two different types of axles, ones that are shiny and ones that are dark. The dark ones are steel axles. You only take a steel axle when I tell you that you should probably take a steel axle. Otherwise, you'll stick with the aluminum ones. And that is where our stuff is on our stem cart. So now you know. All right, so we're back here. And now we're going to be putting our axles into our back wheels first. So we're going to start with one axle rod. And you can see that it can go into the back wheel right here. It's a little hole right there. And you just put it in there. And then what you're going to do is you're going to take your pliers, and you see this flat spot right here. There's one on the other side too. That's the side we're going to use to hit down onto that axle. Now you don't want to hit it too hard. You just want to hit it hard enough so that you can hear the sound of the axle hitting the end. You do not want to poke it through. If it pokes through the other end, you got to just take the axle out and toss the wheel in the garbage. But it's not a big deal. We have plenty of wheels, but let's try to do our best not to do that. So you don't need to hit very hard. You just hit hard enough and you'll hear the sound change. And you can hear how it got louder. That means it's all the way at the end. I don't need to go any further. And once I've done that, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to just slide it through, make sure that the axle fits all the way through, and it does. I'll take it off, and then I will put one of my bearings on. So there's my bearing. And what the bearing does is it reduces the amount of friction that spins as the wheel starts to spin. It reduces the friction against the wheel, so that's against the car. So that's really good. And now we want to put another bearing on the other side. And because I hit this axle down, it kind of widened out a little bit, so it won't fit into my other wheel. So what I need to do is I need to snip a small part off. I'd say like a 1/16 of an inch or an 1/8 of an inch. Eyeball it, which means just get close to the edge, put it into the snips, and just so we understand, this area of the pliers is a grip area. This back area right here, that's the snip part. So you want to make sure that the snips is what we're using to cut that axle. And you're going to squeeze. And then it will leave a little tiny point on there, but it's cut it. And now that's a good thing because I can then slide in my next wheel. And what I'm going to do is we do not hit these down. We only hit the first one. To put two wheels on, we squeeze them together with our hands. And now if you over squeeze and you put them too close to the sides, that's okay. You can just pull them apart a little bit. But for me, you got to check to see if the wheels are spinning, and they are, and we're good. Once they're spinning, we're good. And now we're going to do the same thing with our front wheels. We're going to take our axle. We're going to put it into the hole of the wheel, tap it down with the flat side until it gets loud. And you should hear that. You might even feel it I'm not even hitting down that much. And now we have that in there. It did not go through the other side. Take one of my bearings, put my bearing on. There we go. And I'll put it through the hole here. And I will put a bearing on the other side. Now this is a little bit different than the back wheels. In this case, there's more of the axle coming out. The reason for that is because the wheel is thinner, and sometimes the car is usually a little bit thinner there, but because the wheel is so much thinner than the back wheel, there's going to be more axle showing, and we don't need all that axle. So I always tell kids, find somewhere in the middle and snip it in the middle. So that's what I'm going to do. Snip it right about the middle. And now that I'm done, this is what came off of that as comparison to the other one, just to give you a heads up. This one, that's the front wheel, and that's what we cut off of the back wheel. So there's a little bit more cutting off the back wheel. And now we take our next front wheel and we put it together, make sure it spins, and we're good. Car's rolling. And so now we have to put our screw eyes on. Screw eyes are really easy to do. What we want to do is we want to put the screw eye somewhere in the middle of the car. Do not put it too far over one way or the other. Try to find the middle, and do not screw directly above the axle. That is a bad thing to do. So when we're putting our screw eyes on, we want it either right in front of the axle or right behind the axle in the front of the car. So for me, I'm going to put it right in front of the axle. It doesn't really matter if it's in front or behind for the front wheels. So I'm just going to do it in front. And this is a screw. So you are spinning it as you're twisting it as you're pushing it in. And I'm going to tell you how far to put them in just a second. And now what you should know is that the reason for the screw eyes is that we have a string that goes from the beginning of the track to the back end of the track, and that has to go through your screw eyes. So that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to put that through the screw eye. So the screw eye opening should be facing forward. All right, so there's the front one. Now the back one's a little bit, I don't know, I wouldn't say trickier, but like there's more of a process here. You have a CO2 cartridge hole that goes into this thing. And because that hole is in there, you can't screw into the hole, otherwise we can't get a CO2 cartridge in there. But you need to know how big the hole is. The hole for the CO2 cartridge hole is 2 inches big. So I always say measure up 2¼ inches, and then wherever that measurement is, as long as it's not right over the axle, because remember, we don't want to screw it into the axle. If we screw this into the axle, the wheels won't spin. But if you measure up 2¼ inches or 2½ inches, just somewhere in that point, put it in the middle, and then start to twist. But you should measure this. And we know how to measure because we've been doing it all year. So take your ruler, line up the 0 with the back edge of the car, measure up 2¼ or 2½ inches, and then put your screw eye in there. Now this is the longer one. So we need to screw it in a little bit deeper. And this is the part that I'm going to tell you about how far to screw it in and where these screw eyes need to be. So the string, as I was telling you, is going to be fed through the car. It's going to be fed through the car. So the car is going to be flipped over and it's going to be riding down the track. Well, that string basically is just off the edge of the track. So if it's just off the edge of the track, we need to make sure that when we're screwing these in, we make sure that these screw eyes are not hitting the table. And you can hear it scraping the table there. So I'm going to keep screwing this guy in until it just misses the table. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring the camera down and I'm going to show you what it looks like underneath. Get there. There we go. And you can see that those screw eyes are just missing the table. They don't want to hit the table, they want to just miss it. And that is extremely important for your races. So make sure that when you're putting your screw eyes on, that you just miss the table with those screw eyes. So that when this thing rolls, it doesn't catch the screw eyes and cause friction. And that is how to put wheels, axles, bearings, and screw eyes on your car. Good luck, have fun.